Hi everybody, this is Bastiaan and this is my annotation of the game I played against Fritz 6. You may find the game live on YouTube, but it's a game I played blindly, so it probably won't make much sense to some people. So this is the annotated version to get an idea of what was played. The game starts with 1 e4, so I'm white, black plays e5. And I'm playing f4, so now we're entering the king's gambit. There are two options for black. He can either accept the gambit pawn takes pawn, or he can play something else, but Fritz typically accepts the pawn, so pawn takes pawn. And now we can see I have a central pawn, and black has a flanking pawn, so the pawn is no longer a central pawn. And it's also in need of protection. So play continues with knight to f3, which is in my opinion the most solid continuation. There are different options for sure. b3 for instance is the Rossini gambit. Knight c3 it's called Caress gambit. Queen e2, Bastiaan gambit. Queen f3, Breyer gambit. Queen h5, the Carrera gambit. Bishop c4, the popular bishop's gambit. Immediately trying to develop and attack the weak f7 square of black. Bishop d3 is called the Schurich gambit. Bishop e2, the lesser bishop's gambit. Pawn to h4, Stammer gambit. Knight to h3 is the Eisenberg gambit, with the idea of immediately re-attacking the weak pawn on f4. King f2, the tumbleweed gambit, or drunken king gambit. And pawn to d4, the Willemsen gambit. So basically every move that white can make now is known theory and is a continuation of the gambit. Just to give you an idea how analyzed this opening really is. But back to the game. Knight f3 was played, which is the king's knight gambit, which is in my opinion the most solid continuation, because it blocks the pawn on f4, making it the target for the bishop as soon as I take control of the center. Also it allows castling for white by moving pieces out of the way to get the king into safety. White will get an open line with his rook on the f-file, and with the knight on f3, the immediate development of the queen to h4 with the check on the king has been blocked. So knight f3 is my personal preference, and black continues with d5, which is the modern defense, or the Scandinavian variation. One of the best counters of the king's gambit in my opinion. It not only opens the lines of the for the bishop and the queen, but it also allows the bishop to be placed on the d6 square with an immediate chance to protect the f4 pawn. So in some lines black can hold on to the gambit pawn right up until the end game. So I took, and again there are several variations, but black retook the pawn with his queen, following the Scandinavian variation. Knight c3, and the queen has to move. So there are several options now. Queen retreating to d8 is the London variation. Queen h5 is the Albin variation, I believe. But black chose the Dutch variation queen to e6 check, regaining the lost tempo, which I gained by developing the knight with an attack. So now my king is under attack, and theory continues with bishop to e2, which wasn't played. So I'm trying something else. I'm trying king to e2. Now the difference is king to e2. With king to e2 I can no longer castle, but we've noticed that both king and queen are on the same file, and that it's an open file. So if the queen moves, I can get my own queen in with check on the king and get a free development. And if the queen doesn't move, I can develop my bishop with check and with a tempo, and the next move will be rook to e1, getting a pin on king and queen. So with king to e2, the question is for black's next move, will he try to do something to block the king's diagonal? And he can either develop his bishop, his pawn, or his knight on the diagonal in order to block it. And if he does play a similar move to block the diagonal, I can play d4, and if he doesn't, I can play d5 with tempo, allowing a check on the king. And black plays queen to g4, and this allows an additional option with the queen moved. As said before, it allows development of my own queen with tempo and with a check, which is the best move according to the engines. But I'm still going ahead with my plan. Bishop b5 check, and if now black tries to stop the check with either a pawn or a bishop move, I can keep developing, and I can play rook e1 with tempo, rook e1 check. So instead black moves his king off of the open file, and I play d4. Notice that my queen is still on the same file as the enemy king. Bishop f5 developing, and knight to e5. This allows black an attack on my queen, and black should probably trade queens, but then I get my rook on d1, and I still have the same threat on the king. So if queen takes, rook takes. But instead queen h4 check was played. So I can just play pawn to g3 to chase away the queen, which goes to f6, and black can no longer hold on to his gambit pawn. So bishop takes, and it's not only a question of regaining the gambit pawn and regaining the material, but just take a look at